Hello everybody, and welcome to this Awesomenauts beta video with yours truly, SlowWolf! Today we're going to be taking a look at the newest Awesomenaut to hit the roster. I'd like everybody to welcome Hawkeye! Wait, hold on a second. What do you mean? His name's Hawkeye, right? It's not? Okay, what is it? Really? That seems like a wasted opportunity. Oh, whatever. Alright, so his name is Rocco! Go figure, it's not Hawkeye. Keep in mind this is the beta, so things have an aptitude to change sometimes. But chances are he'll end up being roughly the same coming out of beta. Just maybe some numbers differences. So let's take a look at his movement speed first and what he is as a result. Rocco is very much a zoning character and a tactical nuker. He is not your typical character in terms of, oh, I can just deal damage all the time, all over the place. And the reason for that is, like, look at his movement. This really factors into it. It is very slow. His jump is slow and feels sluggish. His movement is so slow that his legs are like he's pushing as hard as he can and it just cannot go forward. So he's a very slow, easy to predict, easy to kill character in that sense, and you need to be careful with this guy. Despite the average HP bar and everything else, he's vulnerable. He's frail. Now let's talk about his abilities. Now, all of these, with upgrades especially, can work really, really well together. Let's talk about, like, his left click first. It just tosses out a couple of arrows every time he does it. It slows him down a lot if you push down and hold it, so you're going to want to go ahead and do the tap click with this guy, for sure. He can do a decent amount of damage. Each one of these arrows does 55 a piece to start with, and can be upgraded to do more. He can shoot out 3 arrows at a time, and he has upgrades that can actually reduce the cooldown on one of his other abilities, which is Precision Shot. It's a tap and hold to charge ability. The longer you hold it, the stronger and straighter the arrow goes. Like so. The arrow will go through walls, it will go through turrets, it will go through enemy droids harmlessly. The only thing that's going to hit is an enemy Awesomenaut. At base, it does 300 damage apiece. If you look at the minimap, you can see how far it goes too. When it's fully charged, that thing goes across almost the entire map from the drop pod area. That is redonkulous. If you just tap it though, it'll go a certain distance and then just, you know, vanish. Now, keep in mind that that distance is still quite long. If you know how to do the lob, in a close range fight, that is probably going to end up being your best friend. But if you want to do the long range shot, you can be my guest. You go ahead and shoot that out as much as you like. While you're charging it, you are quite slow, so don't, like, you can shoot while charging. You can be like this while charging it. But look how slow you're going, and there's nothing you can do about that. So it's best to just let it go and then keep going back to moving as best as you can. Huh? Finally, you've got Vengeance. Now, Vengeance is a steroid ability. It makes your bow all pretty, it makes your arrows all pretty. While you're moving forward or anything like that, you actually aren't slowed down anymore. It makes your precision shot look all pretty as well. The more you hit people with your left click, the longer it's going to last. And once it's done, it takes 20 seconds to cool down. So that's the longest cooldown in the game, bar none. Sentry used to have that ability, used to have that award with the teleport. Now it belongs to Rocco. So you can upgrade this guy to deal like a little bit more damage or to add a stun to your precision shot. It's kind of a happy help every one of your abilities ability. It doesn't really do anything on its own. It relies on your other abilities and your ability to make them work to really shine, which is, you know, nice. It is what it is. It's a good steroid ability. So with that in mind, it can be upgraded. Like I said, it can be upgraded to do a bunch of other stuff. Let's take a look at the upgrades specifically as they stand. So for Vengeance, you can add a stun duration to your precision shot once it's fully drawn. You can increase the duration that you get out of hitting people with your left click. You can increase the slowing power on your left click because it adds a slow to all of your abilities. That's something I might have missed. That's what Vengeance does. It adds a slow to all your abilities. Automatically shoots 2 homing arrows at nearby Awesomenauts. Once you go into Vengeance, which is like, okay, cool, a little burst of 200 damage or something like that. Once it's fully upgraded, you get increased regen and increased move speed if you manage to make it last long enough. On Precision Shot, you get increased damage, you get increased speed of the arrow, increased drawing speed of Precision Shots that allows you to, like, shoot off the fully powered arrow a lot more quickly. nicotine patch. Every time you hit somebody, it reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds on that thing. So it could be a very short cooldown, down to 4 seconds if you manage to land this thing. Whenever you land it, your attack speed with your left click is increased by up to 35% per rank, so 70%, which is bananas. And then you get an explosion radius on the last one. For your left click, you have increased damage of the rapid arrows, adds an additional arrow, and then reduces the damage by 25%, which, trust me, it's strong. If you remember before, you had this. Take a look again. Boom, you got 3, and oh, they do so much damage. Like, that's 120 damage just for buying this one upgrade. It's really good. Really, really good. Range of rapid arrows, which is good. When no one's near you, you can deal a bunch of extra damage with your left click and with your precision shot. This is an arrow as well. So for a lot of the upgrades that say your arrows do this, this benefits from it as well. You get to split. So after they hit, the arrows, like the left click arrows, split afterwards. So that's frustrating. And really good. And then finally, reduces the cooldown of your precision shot for every little arrow you land. So this triple shot arrow plus the reducing of the cooldown means that your precision shot practically has no cooldown. So lots of synergy with all of his abilities. With that said done, let's go ahead and talk about him in a match, and I'll show you guys what I mean. Alright, and here we are. We're going to go ahead and speed up the footage a little bit because it's a bit of a longer game, but I still want to show you guys some Rocco footage. This is at 2x speed using the replay feature. So let's talk about this guy. Mechanically speaking, what I think what needs to be changed with this guy, whether or not I like him, and then finally whether or not the competitive scene is going to end up liking him. So mechanically speaking, I think that Rocco's a really strong character. I think that he's got some new stuff that he brings to the table. His right click isn't exactly expansive. It's not something brand new. It's practically got the same programming as Coco's ball, since it goes through everything. Now, what makes it different is A, how fast it's going, and B, how it can't be used to farm. Coco's lightning ball can be used to clear waves, which is good, really good. Like, it's extremely important for the character to be able to do that. It allows her to farm and do stuff outside of, hey, I'm just going to kill this guy. And this is a random double kill because he's bot glitching or whatever. So when you've got this character, all you can do to get farm is to kill people. Simple as that. Either that or rely on your left click, and that's a build that I don't go for in this one. I go for a build that is very centered around landing precision shots, of which I land a very precious few, but I land a couple that are actually pretty solid. So it's mechanically speaking, he doesn't bring a lot to the table in terms of like his specific abilities, but how they mesh together to create a very awesome, not killing centric character is really quite cool. I like that a lot about the guy. What I don't like so much is how synergistic some of his abilities are and how frightening his precision shot is. Let's talk about Vengeance for a second. It's a basic steroid skill, and it doesn't really do much outside of slow. Okay. It does the trick though, and it honestly can do a lot in a fight, especially if you're in the back lines of it and you have some support. You can really help your friends catch up to your opponents because, hey, look, they're super slow. His left click can be upgraded to be absolutely frightening. It's stupid how scary that ability can be, and that's largely if you get like the triple shot arrows and upgrade the damage and all that stuff. It takes a solar investment to make it frightening, but at a certain point it's just like, yeah, you cannot get close to Rocco without taking a ton of damage in the meantime, which is not ideal. In fact, that might be a bit too strong. Hitting that one there. I'm gonna back off. I think I land one there. Yeah, there we go. So his left click can be really strong when upgraded, and even when it's not upgraded, it's doing 55 damage a pop. Like, to start with. So if you land both of the arrows, it's 110 at a reasonably quick pace. On top of that, like it's again reinforcing that I'm better than Lone Star left click mentality, which is a little bit unfortunate because there are so many characters now that have just a better blaster than he does. His blaster just, I don't know, it still works, but there's something to be said for this character who now can like just shoot as fast as Lone Star at like a ridiculous pace. Granted, it's not going to be the quickest gun on the West anytime soon, but you know, with a little bit of a solar investment, it can become just as scary powerful. Now, what makes Rocco particularly strong is how all of his abilities work together. The vast majority of his abilities are synergistic with one another. If you pop Revenge, alright, every left-click arrow that you land increases the duration of Revenge. Good. Then you're allowed to Precision Shot at full strength. If you Precision Shot at full strength with Revenge on, you can get a stun. Okay. If you manage to land a Precision Shot, you have a shorter cooldown. Coupled with your left click, which can reduce that cooldown by even more, means you can Precision Shot extremely quickly, which allows you to, if you land it with another upgrade, attack extremely quickly with your left click. So by the time that you're done with it, you're practically shooting off a Precision Shot every couple of seconds with a left click that is going at a ridiculously rapid rate, doing an insane amount of damage. And every time that you land that Precision Shot while you're in Revenge mode, which is being extended by the number of arrows you're landing, by the by, you get to go ahead and just stun somebody in place for a little bit. Not by much, but for a little bit. So there's a lot of synergy between his abilities, and that makes him a little bit frightening. Now, one of the most frightening things about this guy is what's about to happen. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this into normal speed so that we can see what's going on here. Because this is pretty, like, this is my point with Precision Arrow. I think Precision Arrow goes a little bit too far. Just keep one eye on me. Alright, I'm like, okay, cool, I shot off an arrow, it might hurt somebody, whatever. What? I got a kill. Let's go back and see why I got a kill. So I'm here, I'm about to shoot the arrow off. On the other side of the map, we got this fight going on. Go. Keep an eye on the screen. Bounce up here and eat my arrow for breakfast. That went across the map. That's enough time that I was actually able to toss out another arrow, so if he was still around the area, he would have had a chance to get hit again, but that's not the point. The point is that that arrow, which, just to reiterate, started here. He shoots it, went all the way along here, kept going, he bumped into it and died. And it's just... it's sad that it goes for so long. Yeah, it's easy to predict, and if he had been watching his minimap, then he would have been fine. But, you know, droids don't watch minimaps. But even still, that is an incredibly long distance to go. That is a very long distance to go. And I'm really not sure how I feel about that. I honestly wish they would be a bit shorter. I think that's really quite strong, I think. So, mechanically speaking, it's frightening because he's got an incredible amount of synergy between all of his abilities with the right upgrades. Which could be a terrifying concept. And he's got an incredibly strong right click. It can deal up to 435 damage. It's going to show 434 in the replay, but it's 435 damage with the 3 damage upgrades. And if I hit with the arrow upgrade as well, I think it's 510. So it's a decent amount. Let's actually check. I actually have people near me, so it's only going to hit for the 435 and get the kill, but whatever. But yeah, so mechanically speaking, I think he's in a good spot with his mechanics. I just think that they need to be toned down. Do I like the character, though? Hell yeah, I do. This guy has a lot going for him. He's a very strong character in terms of his, like, just his playstyle. Like, he's fun to play. That's the important thing with him. Every character that I look at is he fun to play, or is she fun to play? And in this case, absolutely. Rocco is the most mini-map heavy character I've ever had to play as, or against. I played a couple of rounds earlier with some of the Beta-nauts, with some of the people in the beta playing Awesomenauts that's more accurate, and it was a lot of fun playing with and against them. I mean, against them is a little bit frustrating because it's like, okay, stop shooting arrows, just stop it, they're all over the place, you don't need it, shut up. But you have to really watch your minimap. Playing as him, you have to watch your minimaps, so that way you can just land your arrows. Playing against him, you have to watch the mini-maps, that way you can see the arrows coming and just dodge them. Now, the arrows also give him away in a sense, because if he's shooting them, then everybody knows where you are. So, yeah, you can't just sit in the fog of war, as it were, and just enjoy your time. You really do have to kind of do your thing. I actually landed, I'm surprised. Now, I really do like that about this character, forcing you to look at the minimap and everything. He feels like a fun, interesting, rewarding character to play, because when you land those really cool shots, like you know, the couple that I landed, it's really satisfying. Really satisfying. And it's something like that's all a plus in my book. Now, let's talk about the competitive scene for a minute. What does Rocco bring to the table? Rocco brings damage, and that's it. and only against enemy Awesomenauts, really. So, I don't think he's actually going to be picked up all that much. He'll be a niche pick at most. Maybe a replacement for Frog. And the reason why I say a replacement for Frog is... Oh, okay. Frog does a lot more burst than Rocco does, but Rocco can hit people from much farther away. He's got that slow on him, which makes him quite useful when when chasing and all that stuff. But more importantly, he can poke and do damage, a lot of damage from a distance, without really putting himself at a lot of risk. So out comes the arrow, boom, it's gonna hit, it's gonna kill. Done. With Frog, it'd have to be a dash NATO kill kind of thing, and it puts you at risk when you do that. So against certain lineups like a Squiggins or something like that, a Rocco would be better, because Rocco doesn't have to worry about having to deal with frustrating moments like, oh, I can't go in because there's all this blaze, or oh, I can't chase because it's a really bad situation for me to jump in. Instead, you can just shoot an arrow at it repeatedly on an extremely low cooldown. But that's the only kind of niche that I see Rocco really fulfilling in the competitive scene, is just damage. He can't do anything else. He can't really push. So he's going to be picked up. Is the competitive scene going to like him? I'm not so sold. I think he might also be somebody that takes the place of a Coco or a Raylan, possibly, but the two of them can also lane clear exceptionally well, which I think is going to be his biggest weakness when it comes to the competitive play of this game. The fact that he cannot clear lanes very easily means that he can't farm very well outside of kills, which makes him a risky pick at best, and on top of that, he can't stop a push, and I think that's going to be his biggest weakness. So competitively speaking, we'll have to see, but I don't think he'll be super big because he's fairly easy to pick off if you put yourself even slightly out of position, and he doesn't do anything outside of just do damage to knots. He doesn't push or anything. Alright, so there you have it. That's Rocco. That's my take on him. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I know I sure did. If you have any comments, please go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video or anything like that, be sure to tell me that too. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!